Hey, it's Mel from Rap Rankings. To hear the full episode this clip comes from, as well as the other Patreon-exclusive content, head over to patreon.com/raprankings. And please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting to help us grow the channel and continue our journey as hip-hop's first and premier extreme podcast. Track 1, Rich Then Famous, parentheses intro. I will discuss that grammatical error shortly.
Oh my God. Here we go.
I have to. They did it. They fucking did that. Okay.
Blame the State Department of Education and not these guys, okay?
George Bush, as my college roommate called him.
That's right.
Well,
okay.
My roommate's visitor called him George Bush. Yeah. Children were left behind. Produced by Mercy. This is a flat 6.
That's a biased ass rating.
Okay.
There's Southern Coddling, and then there's Southern Hating for sure.
No.
Moulz Mel Connect, flat 6.
I just laughed like fucking Winnie. Is that Winnie the Pooh? No, that's the Pillsbury Doughboy. Yeah.
I mean, look. Right. I mean, what are we doing here, right? We're getting off to a bad start. Okay,
we are. We definitely are. Okay. Now, listen. Here's the thing. I assumed they meant than. You know, rich. Okay. I'd rather be rich than famous.
Yeah.
Which is a common rapper sentiment. And I actually agree with it. But I thought, well, maybe he actually meant the order, because being famous before you're rich sucks, because you might be like, say, the who is it? All these memers that end up famous and have nothing to show for it. You know, these skit makers, you know? So it's like, I don't know, maybe he did me. I'd rather be rich and then famous. But the line in the song, if you want fame over money, you're not true to your religion. And I'm like, all right, well, that settles it. He definitely meant than. So I don't know. It bothers me, but the song is the song. I know what they're talking about. I'm not going to hold it. That's not why it's a flat 6. All right. I'm not holding it against them that hard. But I will say the chopped up, rich and famous, makes me chuckle just because it sounds so chopped out.
I'll talk about the repetition.
Okay.
On here, because it's a common thread.
Yes, it is. Yes, it fucking is. Ain't no Migos without repetition. This fucking DJ. I'm gonna tell you more later.
DJ
but
Scream.
Yeah, or is it Corey B? Is that who's talking?
It's a couple guys. I think DJ Scream is the one who's on here.
Okay.
But later on, like, you will hear Corey B as well.
They all suck. Okay, these young niggas plugged up and connected. Nickel. Okay. All right. Listen, rest in peace to Takeoff. All right. Obviously. He's on here. Hey, at least I agree with the sentiment. Okay. Because, yeah, fame comes with perks, obviously, but its negatives outweigh the positives. I'd rather be rich than famous. I agree. Takeoff's verse, perfectly competent. Fine. And that's it. And that's the problem, because that's the ceiling. And that's never going to be enough to just be fine, to just know how to rap, you know? And to me, that really tells the story of this group for me. I have never to date heard a full verse from any of them where I was like, they fucking snapped. You know, I've never heard a verse where I thought they snapped.
I have.
Okay. I mean, you said you got like 20 Migos songs. Okay,
but
so just specific members.
Takeoff for sure. Like I said, he has a phenomenal verse on Cross the Country from Rich Redacted Timeline.
Okay. Yeah, I've tried, when I would see on the timeline such and such, I would go listen to it, and I'm like, if this is snapping, then fucking, I've never known snapping, I guess, you know? But, yeah, it's just, the verse is fine. At first, I thought there was they're all from Atlanta. I thought it was a 2 Chainz diss when he was like, if you want fame over money, my nigga, you're not true to your religion. But then I remember True Religion is a clothing brand. And also 2 Chainz shit was not True Religion. It was fucking True. What was it? I should have wrote it down because I knew it all week.
Religion?
Yeah, I think True Religion. You know, but it was something else.
And it was
like
TRU because something.
Based on a true story, right? Wasn't that the album?
Yeah, but the big mixtape, his breakout mixtape, was True Religion.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe it could be a 2 Chainz diss. You know,
it's not a 2 Chainz diss. I mean, Chief Keef was talking about True Religions at this time as well.
Yeah, it was a popular brand. You know, they're gonna diss it later on in the tape, as a matter of fact. But Yeah, I'd rather be rich because there's some niggas is famous that ain't got shit. That's very true. Quavo comes on, ain't say shit. Not a single thing worth pointing out to me.
Now, here's the thing. You were saying you want to debunk this theory that one guy's better than the other in this group.
Mm-hmm.
There's no denying Takeoff is better than Quavo on this tape. They both,
on this tape?
Yeah, they both are the majority of this tape because Offset's barely on here. And between the two of them, Takeoff has completely mastered the quote-unquote Migos flow, and Quavo is just catching up to him. He's not where Takeoff is at this point.
Okay. Within the confines of this tape, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I think early on you could have said Takeoff is carrying this group.
Right.
At least just in performances. Like, there are moments on this tape where Quavo falls off beat. Takeoff never falls off beat.
No, off beat's the other guy.
Well, when he shows up, okay?
Yeah, right. When he shows up, he was in that unfortunate prison, you know? So
yeah, I thought he was just doing some Sasha Banks shit, you know, just like wandering off for a while before deciding to show up to work again.
Right. Well, I can't say jail is different from prison. He was in jail, right?
I don't know. I mean, come on. Look, we don't know. It could have all been a false flag.
False flag. Well, yeah.
I agree with you, though, that, like, the rapping is, on a technical level, at least from Takeoff, it's good. The verses themselves, like, I don't find myself pulling that many quotables. In this one, I only took, 2 bars from the Takeoff verse. Quick to shoot 3 Derek Fisher, no referee, I'm official. I just might pull out my Fisker, you pussy, I see your whiskers. It's okay.
Right. It's just okay.
Like, that was like on the something meter, it went from like a 5 to a 6 there, like
it's just like, it's a polite, okay.
Cool. I mean,
it's a golf clap.
Like I said, especially with Takeoff, I think the thing that's to be praised is technical proficiency over like actual clever rhymes.
Right. Man.
And I don't like this beat. This stock synth horn with, it opens up with DJ Scream talking his shit up top. Then the beat drops. I'm not crazy about this beat. It's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's going to be the story tonight.
Here's the thing. Like, throughout the course of the career of Migos, I would come to identify things about each guy. Right? I think as everybody did. But I think Takeoff and Offset are guys that I can say I do like more than Quavo. As Quavo would emerge as someone I like the least. At this period in their career, I feel like I'm still trying to make heads or tails out of who these guys are.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody especially jumped out to me as the whack one. But as their career progressed, I think, Takeoff manages to carve a lane for himself because his voice is the most distinctive of the three. It's in more of, I guess, like a baritone than the other two members. He's the most immediately noticeable member of the three. Although I think if you go and listen to his solo album, it really wasn't much. Like any suggestion any of these guys should have been solo rappers is dispelled by all of their solo albums.
And that's what I said at the very start of the episode.
I agree with that wholeheartedly because those albums were nothing and none of them showed a star quality. But in the dynamic of this group, right? Takeoff has something. He has a deeper voice than the other two guys.
Are you mean Quavo?
No, Takeoff.
Oh, Takeoff? I thought you said Quavo had a baritone.
No, I was saying Takeoff managed to carve a lane for himself.
Oh, okay.
With the most distinctive voice of the three.
Oh,
Quavo leaned into the melodic elements that you'll hear on here, but he really leans into it as they go more mainstream, and he emerges as like the star of the group. But I found that he was most often the most irritating part of a Migos song that I disliked. So I started to kind of key in on him being also distinct, but distinctly unenjoyable. And then Offset was always just inoffensive to me. He has the least defined qualities as an MC. He doesn't lean on melody as much as Quavo. His voice isn't as strong and distinctive as Takeoff, but he irritates me a lot less than Quavo. So he's just kind of been like, yeah, I can handle him, but he doesn't rock my world in any way.
Here, just in these 19 tracks, I agree that, yeah, you could give the lead to Takeoff, but I think when Offset gets freed and they start, you know, and the rest of the projects where they're all present, they're all equally mediocre to me. And the real gag about people, you know, deciding who was the best member is from my broke nigga timeline, aka reality. I watched people cycle through each member.
We for
and
sure.
And that's when they told on themselves.
A cycle of it started with Quavo.
It started with Quavo because I think
everybody saw the star quality in him with the melodies and everything.
Well, because he was doing melodic stuff, so they kind of pushed him to the forefront as the face of the group, as the lead singer almost.
He got the handsome guy out of the three of them. Like Offset's not an ugly guy. Takeoff's, rest in peace, but you know he was not the most handsome of the three. Let's just say
Takeoff's a cutie. He's a cutie. He has that sly smile, you know.
He kind of had a vacant stare, okay? But we're not going to hold it against him. Rest in peace.
He kind of made Jesse faces, low-key, you know?
A little bit, you know?
Yeah. I fuck with Takeoffs. Facially, I fuck with Takeoff the most.
But, you know, Quavo's like the heartthrob. He's like the classic, you know, he's the fucking Justin Timberlake or... What's interesting about Backstreet Boys is who was the heartthrob, Brian Luttrell or Nick Carter?
I think Nick Carter.
Was it Nick Carter?
He got the most posters, I think, on
okay.
Little
So
Girls
yeah,
Walls.
he's supposed to be like the Nick Carter, right?
And you know, I can't say for sure because I didn't listen to them enough, but maybe it got to his head. I don't know because it seemed like for a while, wasn't he the first solo album to drop?
It was yeah, because he was the one that everyone wanted.
Was saying should go solo.
Yeah, at first. And then as soon as he dropped his solo shit, they were talking about Offset.
Right. It was Offset. And I think it's because the Cardi B of it all and just like, it was really
he had
Offset.
The Without Warning project as well at that time.
With
21 Savage and
Metro Boomin, right. And then it felt like they had nothing left, so they're like, you know what? The whole time Quavo was, Takeoff was really the best.
Finally, and his project was The Last Rocket, which I think was the last of the solo projects.
Yeah, and that
so they finally cycled through. Well, you know what happened? Father of Four sucked so bad. Quavo Honcho or whatever sucked so bad. They're like, all right, we guess if any of these guys are going to be good on their own, it has to be this guy, right?
Right. And no, I'm glad you reminded me. Quavo Honcho, right? Head Honcho, aka Head Honcho. He was being positioned by the world and apparently himself as the head honcho of the group. He was the leader. They gassed him, made him think all that. Hey,
I'm coming up with my own.
In the background.
I'm going to be the most unique out of all these fucking contrarian fucks. Okay, get ready. I'm an Unk and Few guy. Okay, that was they're the best.
You just like me. You like the name because it's ridiculous. Okay, Unk and Few.
Look, this is an Unk and Few project featuring Offset for the record.
Low key. Yeah.
All right, this is Unk and Few for sure.
Right, y'all are Unk and Few fans. At least you were initially. You know,
you thought you were Migo fans.
Those of you who discovered them through this project, you're actually Unk and Few fans. Okay.
Technically, I would be a Unk and Set fan.
Yeah, okay. Unk and Set, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I like the idea of Unk and Few, though, in all seriousness. You get this weird guy out of there who has no relation to you, and it's just you and your uncle in a rap group.
Ollie Unk and Few, it's what I always say.
Offset, listen, he's the young buck of Migos, okay? He was never a Migo.
Oh, man. Wow.
He was never a Migo. Fake ass Migo. Okay. I'm just
Fake.
saying. All right, you got this guy and his uncle, and then all of a sudden this other guy shows up. It's like, hey, it's my friend. All right, fuck it, he can join the group too.
Oh man. Yeah, it's just y'all told on yourselves, those of you who did that, because if it was one, it can only be one of the guys. You know, I'll even say, okay, if you realize you got it wrong, it was actually another guy, but you can't say it was the third guy, the only guy who's left was really the guy all along, because if he was, you would have picked him first.
They're all better together in the end. You know, that's what it comes
Right.
down to. None of them had what it took to be stars in their own right. They were better off as a group. And, you know, listen, we got that unconfused. That's all I know. That was the best. That was the best thing they ever put out.
My take is they're mediocre apart and mediocre together, so I prefer them together to get all the mediocrity lumped together and out the way.
That's always a good strategy, though, for real, you know? I always love when, like, you know, Seth Rollins is wrestling someone I don't care about, for example.
Right, because then it's not 2 slots wasted on the card. It's just one.
Exactly.
So there you go. Rich then famous. Ain't nothing happening in here. You got anything else?
Yeah, actually. I also relate to the sentiment of the chorus, although Migos' repetition can be hit or miss for me. You know, sometimes I think they can craft a pretty catchy chorus out of simple repetition. Other times, perhaps in this case, although definitely not as extreme as some other cases throughout this tape, it's leaning a little more towards being irritating to me. Quavo's up next. He's mostly just yelling. He's not doing the signature Migos flow we hear from Takeoff. For the majority of the record, he kind of only swerves into it eventually towards the end. He's bringing, like, energy, but it's fake energy. It does nothing for me. And, you know, I note that there's no offset on here, which is weird for an intro track. But I got to remind myself they already had 2 tapes prior to this, and this is not the first release from them, despite it being the first release most people outside of Atlanta would hear from them. So, yeah. Fuck this song. It's not fuck this song. It's you know, we're not going to listen to it ever again.
Oh, yeah. I guess we can move on then. We're gonna go down the street to track 2.
Stop Asian hate.
Well, you know we're gonna stop Asian hate. Hey, it's Mel from Rap Rankings. To hear the full episode this clip comes from, as well as the other Patreon exclusive content, head over to patreon.com/raprankings. And please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting to help us grow the channel and continue our journey as hip hop's first and premier extreme podcast.